Brother, I'm going, run a wild Hulk Hogan. If I like it's a moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. Cause lately I've been seeing stars, trying to kick out of this chokehold. But it's no holds barred, middle fingers like I'm Stone Cold.
And what is good, everybody? We are back with another episode of the Slap and Meat Wrestling Podcast. I'm WeTooDeep. That's DJWAVYD, and let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I'm facing my punishment. WavyD over here had me make this wager. No, I made it myself. And of course, with Okada joining AEW, I had to buy this shirt, and well, we'll rock it the next couple weeks, this week and then the next 3 weeks, which is going to be great because next week we're going to have the Junkyard Gang on the show. James and Cody will be here to discuss WrestleMania and all of our predictions. So yeah, they get to I'm sure they'll have some words about how good it looks on me. But
It's
how
not
you
a
doing?
shirt. Is that a white or a light gray?
It's a white.
It's not bad, not bad. I was surprised you got white. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is one meatball grinder.
Yeah,
and that's done for.
I mean, if they would restock the black ones, I would have gotten black, but they're out of stock. So
But how you out of stock on black T-shirts?
especially like your logo shirt. But
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, it's Tony Khan. What can you expect?
beat chairs. You know what I'm saying?
Just like always, click that QR code in the bottom. Get you some merch. If you want to get some Rhea Ripley merch, I think Seth just got a new shirt. I think Rhea just got a new shirt. Mommy Mania or something like WrestleMania or something like that.
You know what I'm saying? If you want that high quality merch, you know what I'm saying? Better than
right.
AEW, you know what I'm saying? This junk ain't sold out, you know what I'm saying? We got the blacks for days, the whites for days, you know what I'm saying? We got all your merch. Come get it.
Right. Use that QR code, help support the show. Also go to junkyardmediagroup.com, check out the blog post, and be on the Junkyard on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. They go live on their YouTube channel, which all can be found in our Discord, which that link is in the description as well. So we'll jump into this, and just like always, we're going to start with Let's Get Cooking. And this week, I had me and WavyD, we're going to book a TNA Invasion angle. They've been working together with WWE here recently. So we're going to book this Invasion. WavyD is going to go first. I want to see what his creation is. He promised me something big. So
I hope you can follow up to it. You know, this is your last chance in case you want to go first. All right. So I booked this out essentially until WrestleMania of next year. All right. So I didn't do your typical just like 17A guys bum rush the ring and like TNA's here. Like, so we're not doing your typical ECW Invasion, your typical nonsense. All right. So this takes place just after WrestleMania. Okay. So we are on Friday Night SmackDown. We get a celebration party for the newly crowned SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Titles got split are Austin and Theory. Okay? Because I think they win their match and, they get in. Because I think the Profits and the AOP, I think they, cancel each other out, and I think Theory and Waller get in. And I think they split the titles. You can put them on Czech Republic. You can put them on the Czech Republic if you want, but I got Theory and Waller. So the celebration gets ruined, and the new Czech Republic, they crash the party. They're looking for a bid to be the number one contenders, and then the teams start brawling, and they get broken up by officials. Nick Aldis aggravates his arm, breaking it up. So Nick Aldis re-injures his newly surgically repaired arm. Nick Aldis' surgery gets aggravated while breaking up a fight backstage. It really gets banged up again. So he hires an interim GM while he heals up and is off TV. All this before leaving introduces us to an old friend, Scott D'Amore.
Ooh.
All right. Next week on the show, Corey fills us in with a pre-recorded interview with Scott backstage. We learn all about his backstory with TNA and whatnot, and why he's not there anymore, and so on and so forth. We get a superstar shakeup. You know what I'm saying? Following WrestleMania, with superstar shakeup. Your new World Heavyweight Champion, Drew McIntyre, gets sent to SmackDown, and Roman, the Bloodline, gets sent to Raw. All right, so that plays itself later on.
Okay.
So everything on SmackDown proceeds as normal until we get to Backlash. After the tag team match, a victorious Theory and Waller are standing in the ring, and some unfamiliar music strikes. It's the newly free agents of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. They're now finally in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
The team we wanted to see in the big leagues for years are finally here. Next Friday on SmackDown, we are getting a backstage interview with the Motor City Machine Guns. And in the distant background, we can see Scott D'Amore talking to AJ Styles, who recently lost at Backlash in a rematch to LA Knight. Yeah. And so business carries on like normal on Friday nights, and we occasionally see more of the Scott D'Amore talking to wrestlers in the back, and wrestlers leaving Scott's office. We see wrestlers like Bobby Lashley, Karrion Kross, the OC, LA Knight. You know, various superstars we see talking to Scott in the back, leaving Scott's office. You know, saying Easter eggs. We're not quite sure what's going on right now. We get to Money in the Bank. The North City Machine Guns defeat Theory and Waller and Pretty Deadly in a triple threat match for the tag titles.
Mm.
And then later on in the night, AJ Styles defies the odds and he wins Money in the Bank.
Okay.
So we are now at SummerSlam, and Logan Paul loses his United States Championship to LA Knight. Yeah. And then at SummerSlam, we also have a World Heavyweight Championship match between Drew McIntyre and the returning CM Punk. Towards the end of the grueling match, we get two hooded figures who bum rush the ring, and they attack Drew and Punk with steel chairs. And it turns out to be your SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, who dismantled Drew and Punk. Next, AJ Styles' music hits, and he comes to the ring holding his briefcase. He cashes in. He pins CM Punk to win the heavyweight title. So Drew didn't get pinned. He looked strong, and then CM Punk and Drew both got beat down by chairs. So neither of them looked really weak, but Drew didn't lose his title. So AJ Styles pins Punk, wins the heavyweight title. We get Styles and the Motor City Machine Guns standing tall to close out SummerSlam.
Mm.
Logan Paul is backstage on the following SmackDown. He's backstage complaining to Kathy Kelly about his loss to LA Knight. Yeah. And says that he is headed to Scott's office to set up a rematch that he's entitled to in his contract. Next, we start a match between LWO and Pretty Deadly. During the match, Corey gets word of news backstage. There's a cameraman backstage. Logan Paul is beaten badly and trapped under a steel ring. And then throughout the match, they keep cutting backstage, and they see Logan being stretched out of the building. Logan Paul will be out of action for the foreseeable future.
Mm.
You don't really need Logan from SummerSlam to Royal Rumble. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And now we write him off TV. And now with Logan Paul out, there's no number one contender headed into Bash at Berlin. So we get a battle royal to see who will face LA Knight at Bash at Berlin for the United States Championship. So the last mystery man to enter, everyone's coming to the ring. The last mystery man to enter the match is personally introduced by Scott D'Amore. It's none other than Moose.
Oof.
Moose. All right. Moose is dominant. He's throwing out opponents left and right. And then we get down to the last two competitors, Moose and Bobby Lashley. So we got to stare down between the two bald, buff black guys who both ran TNA on their own time. Or Impact, however you say. Bobby Lashley has Moose on the ropes, but then the Mercy Machine Guns come out and interfere and cause Bobby the match, while Moose hits a spear and throws Lashley out the ring. After the match, AJ Styles comes down to the ring and shakes hands with Moose. AJ, Moose, and the Guns stand united in the ring, and we close the show. And then throughout the weeks leading up to Bash at Berlin, AJ, Moose, and the Guns, they attack and jump Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Lashley, LA Knight, throughout the weeks. So we get to Bash at Berlin. The Mercy Machine Guns, they beat the Street Profits in a tag team title match. And then the Guns, they then help AJ and Moose win their respective matches against Drew McIntyre and LA Knight. So now we get what their group is called. Their group is called the Impactful Ones.
Okay.
All right. And so now the Impactful Ones hold all the gold on SmackDown. You got the Guns are the tag champs, AJ Styles World Heavyweight Champ, and Moose is your United States Champion. Scott D'Amore has now officially become the mastermind behind the Impactful Ones, and his plan is now in full effect. The Impactful Ones run through the SmackDown roster, now forcing unlikely adversaries to now work together and trust each other. So now we got CM Punk and Drew McIntyre being forced to work together. You know what I'm saying? We got Bobby, who's not quite, the easiest to get along with. He has to work with LA Knight and work with Drew and work with CM Punk. And then, so now we head in to a Survivor Series match that has implications. So it's not War Games; it's your Survivor Series elimination match, because I missed the elimination matches.
Right.
It has implications. If the Impactful Ones win, then they assign every SmackDown superstar whichever Royal Rumble number they want.
Ooh.
And if the Misfits of Drew, CM Punk, Bobby, and LA Knight, if they win, they can set their own Royal Rumble numbers.
Okay.
So the Misfits, after a grueling Survivor Series match, end up winning, and they look forward to setting their own numbers for the Rumble. Headed into the Royal Rumble, and on the Go Home episode of SmackDown, the Impactful Ones catch Bobby Lashley slacking outside and seriously take him out of action. Bobby Lashley is now unable to compete in the Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
So we get to the Royal Rumble. It's Moose. The Mercy Machine Guns are in the ring with Drew and CM Punk. Okay. So entrant 29 is LA Knight. Comes down to the ring. So now we have 6 men who are all fighting and going at it. And it comes down to Moose standing tall while everybody else got eliminated, or they all eliminate each other. So now we're counting down to number 30. Who is it? 3, 2, 1, and it's Nick Aldis.
Oh,
the returning Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis comes to the ring to make his WWE debut, and after some back and forth and a grueling, little 15-minute exchange, he beats Moose. He eliminates Moose. So now we have Nick Aldis versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what I got.
Okay. I like it. I do.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think it's good. It went a different direction than I did. You did a little bit less. You did a little bit less impact, like wrestlers.
I tried to incorporate everybody who had like a history in TNA and some sort.
Right.
You got Bobby, LA Knight, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. They all had their successful stints over at Impact, Global Force, TNA, whatever it was throughout the years. You got AJ, the face of Mr. TNA.
Right. So I went a little bit in a different direction. So it first starts off. It does start at Mania weekend, as we know. Shayna Baszler is fighting Masha Slamovich.
Okay.
And at that event, I have Shayna winning because Zoe Stark attacks Masha. Now, those who don't know, Masha has a tag team partner. That's Killer Kelly. They are a tag team. So that sets up for later down the line. We'll get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
I don't really have anything else going on in Mania for it. Just that thing happens that weekend. At Backlash, I have Zoe Stark and Shayna winning the women's tag team champions.
Okay.
After they win, they're standing, they're celebrating, and they get attacked by Masha and Killer Kelly. Their team name's MK Ultra, so they get attacked by them to end the show. No one knows really what's going on. Michael Cole's selling it like, what the hell is going on? Then the camera just cuts off. I don't know if that's the main event though, to be honest. So, I mean, we can put Asuka in the main event. I think she's main event worthy. She's going to lose the titles, but you know. So moving and what's after that? After that is going to be Money in the Bank. So this is where I have a lot of the action happening. So we get Money in the Bank. We get an announcement from, building up to it. There's going to be 3 superstars from Raw because it's, the longer show, 2 from SmackDown, and a special guest entrant to be the 6th entrant. We don't know who it is. We get to Money in the Bank, and it's Moose. Moose wins, and then Moose comes in and wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. And he can cash in whenever he wants on any title. The rules have changed. It's no longer just the world champion, but of course he's the world champion of TNA. Why wouldn't he go for? I guess to set this back up, I do have Drew winning at Mania, so he's the world champion that Moose will be eventually going against. At the same time, I have we're gonna split the tag team belts up just like you did, and I'm in agreement with you that it's going to be Waller and Theory that probably win the SmackDown titles. And so they're going to be the target of an attack by the tag team's called ABC. The shitty team name. We gotta fix that. But it's Ace Austin and Chris Bay. They're really good. They're part of like the Bullet Club. I think it's like, I don't know what ABC stands for.
I know Chris Bay.
Yeah. But Ace Austin's really good as well. But so they attack Theory and Waller, and that's going to be like the tag team there. At the same time, so I have a faction in a similar faction than what you did, people who have history, but I have people on Impact who have history with WWE attacking. Okay. So you get AJ Francis, Ash by Elegance or Dana Brooke, Brian Myers, who what was his name in WWE? That was Kurt Hawkins. Fandango, Dirty Dango, all of these people, the grizzled young veterans, all these people used to work for WWE and have grudges, all sort of come together. They start attacking at random times, whether it's NXT, whether it's SmackDown, they're attacking all the time. And they have this, they allude to, they have this leader that's leading them. And it's, we don't find out who that is, but eventually we will. So moving forward at SummerSlam, ABC or Austin and Bay, they win the SmackDown tag titles. McIntyre, I have fighting CM Punk, and I actually had a cash in happening as well. And Moose becomes World Heavyweight Champion at SummerSlam.
All right.
And so it looks like TNA is just completely taken over. And I'm doing this because that's what AEW should have done when they had their partnership. Instead of, stealing all of their titles, let's lift up Impact. It forces other people to watch. Now, Impact's going to have to get a TV deal for us for this to play out. They're going to have to get on TV. And so we then head into, really, I booked this out, the Survivor Series. And so we have Team WWE all of these people who are, you know, being attacked. And so you can literally pick any, you know, 5 superstars to put in Team WWE. And my sort of vision was actually a 6-person, where it's 2 from NXT. So you can put like Trick Williams and I don't know
Dijak
something like Dijak. 2 from
or Joe
SmackDown,
Gacy.
right? 2 from SmackDown. So you're thinking like
Theory
Scott.
Waller.
It could be Theory and Waller, yeah. And then 2 from Raw, so maybe like McIntyre and Punk. So there's Team SmackDown or Team WWE, and then you have Team TNA, and it's ABC and Moose and
Grizzled Young Vets and AJ Francis.
Grizzly Young Vets, AJ Francis. Is that 6?
Yeah, you said ABC, Grizzled Young Vets, and then AJ and Moose.
And then Moose, yep. And so they come out, and then, you know, AJ Francis comes out on the mic, you know, doing what he does. He's got the gift of gab a little bit, and talking about, here's time to meet our leader. And out comes Mustafa Ali.
Okay.
And
the ultimate grudge holder for WWE.
The ultimate grudge, where he's, you know, they never pushed me, and now I've stole all your titles. And he sets a stipulation: if his team of people he's put together, if he can beat Team WWE, he gets an opportunity at the world or at the Universal Champion to face the only title he doesn't have left.
Okay.
His team wins at Survivor Series. What happens? Obviously, he's not fucking beating Roman Reigns, but, you know, I only looked as far as Survivor Series. But there we go. Now we can push Roman's next feud at, you know, whether it's Royal Rumble or it's not going to be Mania. You're not going to put that fucking match in Mania. But there we go. That's my story.
Ooh, like Crown Jewel or something.
It could be like a Crown Jewel.
Because Mustafa Ali is of Middle Eastern descent.
Yeah. There you go.
So when do we get Dana versus Rhea Ripley?
Dana versus Rhea Ripley? That's
or Dana versus Becky Lynch, whoever wins at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think we can go that direction, because if anything, it would be Jordan Grace versus Rhea Ripley. But, you know,
I always said Dana because you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's played in there. The women play in somehow. I don't really have a long-term story for them, other than MK Ultra winning the women's titles and maybe making them interesting. I don't know. There's a curse of those titles.
Imagine bringing the Ultimate X match to WWE.
I'm telling you, dude.
You get like Ricochet, and like JD McDonough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the ABC, for any chance, are they Australian?
They are not.
Oh, I was thinking maybe Australian Bullet Club. That's what I was thinking.
No,
ABC.
I think it's I don't know necessarily what it stands for. I think it's like Ace and Bay Club or whatever.
Okay.
But that'll be cool. I mean, you could also throw in, you know, AJ and Finn in that group as well. You know, you could play a lot of, you know, different stories. I wish it would happen. That WWE would cook up some magic if they started working with TNA. I really do believe so.
The only substitute I would make to your story, I would substitute AJ Francis with Dolph Ziggler.
Okay, I can see that. Look, you know, I love Dollar. I'm gonna stay with Dollar all day.
I love Dollar talking ability. I'm just not a huge fan of his ring work. I'm not saying he can't work, but he just like he's 37, but he gives me like he's like older than that vibes.
Right. I just don't feel like Ziggler has a lot of gripe against WWE. I think he was very fine with how they treated him, so I really don't see a reason for.
Yeah, and AJ Francis definitely got.
He got some gripe.
Yeah, the short end of the stick.
Yeah. So let's move on. Before we move on, I forgot about this, but I promised listener the Winners I'd shout him out. His birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday, Winners!
So we're gonna shout him out, and then so now we can move forward with
27 gang.
27 gang. Everyone in the CWC 27.
Yes.
So let's move on. we basically just got a bunch of questions here. Basically, is what this is. Gonna keep it real simple. We're gonna talk about last night's Monday Night Raw. Now, I sort of was watching it while playing Madden with a bunch of friends, but they was cooking last night. And so my question is, was this the best Raw in the last decade?
I don't know. It's hard to say decade. Definitely of 2024 so far.
Mm-hmm.
It probably could have been the best Raw since 2023.
Right.
When you say best decade, I'm gonna get some loser in the IWC who tells me, well, if you look back at Monday Night Raw from 2017, from like July 4th, 2017, they had a banger match between
right.
Roman Reigns and Sheamus and their last man standing match. I'm like, okay, my guy, whatever.
They calmed down.
Yeah, okay, but it was definitely the most cooking Monday Night Raw I remember seeing in a long time. Like the first hour and 15 minutes only had one match, but
Right.
it was some of the greatest wrestling TV I watched in a while. The Cody and Rock segment that kicked off, so I saw reports that The Rock was going to be there, surprise reports. I didn't want to say anything in the Discord because I knew Withers was going for his birthday and everything. Or no, T-Squire was going.
T-Squire, yeah.
I knew T-Squire was going, so I didn't want to ruin his surprise, so I didn't say anything in the Discord. But I saw reports that Rock was showing up, and also because and so on and so forth. But so when Cody was talking, I was surprised that he opened the show with Rock. That was very surprising. And then it kind of transitioned. Did they go right into the? I think it went right into the next promo segment. Did we get the match in between?
I think the Ricochet JD match was next. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Cody and Rock, and so Cody did a good promo. It was it wasn't cookie cutter, but it wasn't like when he dropped his last promo. It wasn't like that from the Raw before, but it was pretty solid. And then came out The Rock. Man did not say one word. He came to the ring, said nothing, and walked away. Man he was getting booed out of the building at that point. They're like, "What the freak is this guy doing?" He got heat just for coming down and saying nothing. He left, but he whispered something to Cody that we were all trying to decipher in the Discord and on Twitter, and Twitter or X, whatever, deciphered that he said, "I'm gonna make you bleed tonight" or something like that.
Right.
And then we come back from break. We get Judgment Day segment in the back, really good. And then we get JD and Ricochet, banger match. They actually sold a Canadian Destroyer for you guys, for you AEW watchers. That's how you sell a Destroyer. They had a really good match. And then we got the three-way gem. It was mostly a two-way gem. I'm not gonna hold you. Seth Rollins got a little lost in the shuffle between these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But CM Punk comes out. He's talking his talk, walking his walk. You got the big old robot brace on. Drew McIntyre comes out. They're having a back and forth. It felt a little bit shoot style. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming they covered most of what they're going to talk about in the back, but there was some stuff that you could tell was just firing from the hip a little bit. CM Punk was testing Drew, like, can you keep up with me, like, wit-wise?
Right.
Like, can you, go off script a little bit and, keep up with God, in the ring. You box with God. And then they're going at it. Rollins comes out. He talks a little bit. Not gonna lie, it wasn't his strongest promo segment. He got lost in the sauce. But he did get a good pop. And, the crowd was, doing his welcome to Monday night, Rollins, all that bull stuff. The match, the segment did end with Rollins curb stomping Drew McIntyre and getting the best out of him, or best from him. But if you have time, go back and watch the segment. I think it's like 19 minutes long. It's the entirety of it is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
WWE upload the entirety of the segment. Definitely give it a watch. And then after that, I forgot what match we got after that. I think we got Andrade and Da Vinci. Andrade and Da Vinci. Or no, I think we got the R-Truth the R-Truth DIY segment in the back,
Yeah.
where we saw Paul Heyman and Drew in the back cooking up stuff for later. But it was just a really good show. Really good show.
Yeah.
The promos were cooking.
Right. And so I heard, everyone was talking about how good Ricochet and McDonough was.
Yes.
And the parts that I saw, it was a really good match. But then I immediately start seeing like these AEW nerds just coming off and like, oh, this is the same shit we do on AEW, and WWE fans complain about it, blah, blah, blah. There's a difference though. One, there's actual selling, and two, this is the only match of the night where this is that style of wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not every single match. That's the critique isn't that you do it. Is the critique is that's all you do.
Yes.
And so and I think everyone's really just left talking about, as good as that was. I watched the CM Punk segment this morning when I woke up just to watch it again, and the dude's he's the best on the mic. He just is. And like, he doesn't need a script. He could do whatever he wants. He's got full control of the crowd and of everyone around him. McIntyre's pretty witty as well. I found that I enjoyed their conversation, and then Seth's music hit, and I was like, we don't need this. Why are you here? Like, just go away. And I feel like when Seth isn't the one sort of like leading the segment, he does get lost. And so he had no real purpose there. I feel that segment was doing good at building the potential feud that we're gonna get between McIntyre and Punk.
Yeah.
And Seth really didn't need to be involved in it. But we do get Punk on commentary, which I don't think anyone actually predicted. I think a lot of us predicted either like a triple threat or like special guest referee.
But there might still be a chance, or I think CM Punk is going to interfere, of course.
He's on commentary, so he's going to interfere. But that's going to be a fun match to listen to with McAfee, Cole, and you just thought of something. He's cooking already.
I'm cooking in my head. Hear me out.
Oh boy.
Yo, what if CM Punk interferes? You know what I'm saying? He takes out the referee or takes out one of the guys, you know what I'm saying? And then it turns out that he's helping out Judgment Day, and Damian Priest comes out and cashes in that Mania.
Ooh.
And like, okay. CM Punk is like the mastermind behind Judgment Day.
And that's why they haven't announced a leader yet. Hey, I feel it. Speaking of Judgment Day, Dom got the shit knocked out of him by Becky Lynch. Beat the holy shit out of him. That segment was pretty good. Dom does that role perfectly, to be honest with you. And then I think all we're talking about is the ending of the show. The Rock beats the living shit out of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And so I've seen a lot of people today talk about how like the Attitude Era is back. And I just want to slow everyone's roll there. We're not in the Attitude Era. I've done this episode before. I've had this rant before. 90% of the Attitude Era sucked ball sack. It was bad. You had Rock, you had Austin, you had Triple H, DX, Undertaker, but that's about it. And then the other 90% where the women were mud wrestling, and you had Val Venus on your screen, and a bunch of other crap that didn't really need to be there. 90% of the Attitude Era wasn't good. This is completely different. Everything that's going on our screen is, banger material. So I think we need to. Do you think we need to slow down on the Attitude Era?
So do I think Attitude Era is back necessarily? I think it's just because the party's involved, and that I'm not saying The Rock can't cook with PG guidelines, but it definitely makes it hard for him because that's his promo style. His
right.
And you even saw when he had the rivalry with John Cena, he was pushing borderline slightly past PG, going outside the the guidelines. So The Rock needs that. I feel like he's hindered by it. I feel like of course he's a great talker, one of the best talkers in wrestling history. but I feel like he does rely on, I don't want to say bathroom humor, but he relies on, the dirty words, the pop, the pop words, the cheap pop words.
I also
And
think that's sort of just like that's his whole thing in Hollywood now too. Is he basically plays that same style of character in Hollywood, and
yeah,
so I mean he's been doing that forever. That leads to another question. A lot of people backstage apparently, now, I don't believe the dirt sheets. I think I mentioned this Friday, but I don't necessarily believe this. But I think a lot of people have been reported of being upset that The Rock's not playing by the rules. Do you think that really, you
so
know,
I don't think they're more upset that The Rock doesn't play by the rules. I think they're more disgruntled by the fact that they can't also play by the same rules as The Rock.
right,
So I feel like if they believe if they got more freedom, with their promos and everything, which I do think Triple H gives them more freedom compared to Vince. I feel like Triple H has more of like a hit this note, this note, this
right,
note, and then connect the dots in your stuff. Whereas Vince was like say this, say this, say this, say this, say this.
right.
So I think that they wish they had more freedom in a way, but also you just got to deal with the Rock until Mania, and then probably SummerSlam, but he won't be here every week. But I think wrestlers just wish they had more freedom, like the Rock.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I think I do sort of agree with them. I think we need to be a little bit less censored of certain words. Like you definitely don't want them to go out and like fucking like bully people and like make
Yeah,
fun of and stuff. But an F word every now and then just it's not going to kill him. I mean, when it's used correctly, it adds to the promo and that's what I like. I think that's where like the blood that was used. WWE hardly ever uses blood on TV,
yeah,
and so I think that's what made that segment so much better. Is like, oh, we there's blood. This is because AEW sort of overexposes their audience to blood, and so when it happens, people are like, oh, we saw this last week.
yeah. And
And
also,
so
but most times with WWE, it's accidental blood.
right.
Most of the time. This time it was planned, but usually it's
This was like
accidental.
planned. You could tell because like I think Cody bladed, which is weird because they don't normally allow blading because
Yeah,
he gets slammed against I guess was his like bus or something. And then Rock does that little promo where they swing the camera just on him, and then
yeah,
they swing it back to Cody, and the motherfucker's dripping blood.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I thought at one point Rock was about to send Cody over the fucking ledge.
yeah. Same.
I also like, and this wasn't planned. This was just coincidence. But the fact that it was raining in Chicago added a special effect to it.
Yeah, that was
That
nice.
was pretty cool. It felt like one of those like bad guy, like action movies scenes.
Like
Um,
it felt like Bane was whooping
right,
Batman's ass outside.
right. But I mean, this just goes back to they're building Cody Rhodes to be this uber baby face. Part of me scared for the tribal chief, man. I think this
Yo.
might be it.
Okay. So at this point, I don't see Rock turn on Roman straight up.
So I don't, but at the same time, I'm part of me is like Cody's about to overdo all of it. This is the final obstacle that he has to beat is The Rock.
I mean, you might have maybe like a Roman turns on Rock, but at this point, I think Rock is just doing too much to the point where
Right,
he's actually like hurting Cody too much.
right.
I feel like if it stayed like no contact,
Okay.
you can sell it. But now we're at the point where he like
So
beat his ass in Chicago and
right.
busted him open.
Do you think we're gonna get Bloodline rules? Is that where
Oh
you
yeah,
think this is
yeah.
it? Yeah.
I think we're getting like a Avengers like like Avengers Assemble type thing where we're gonna have like all the good buddies get back together versus the Bloodline, and I think it's gonna be like some crazy big old mess.
I think what's the interesting part is where does Jay and Jimmy play in their match? Because if it's the same night, I can't imagine Jimmy will be there to help Roman.
I think it depends. I think maybe if they hug after the match, we'll have
Okay.
some more questions.
Right.
Okay, well, so they hugged and they're uniting, but also Jay's super babyface right now.
Right.
So you definitely don't turn Jay back heel. If anything, Jimmy might join him, but I don't know. We'll have more answers after the Usos have their match.
Yeah, and we're gonna need to do something with Solo because this motherfucker can't just be fucking posting up on in the back of fucking promos all the time. You got to start doing something with him. Like,
Yeah, I don't get why he didn't get a U.S. title reign at some point.
yeah, it makes.
Just
I don't understand why like they brought him up and then they gave him the NXT North American. They could have just given him the U.S. title.
well, at that point they were still trying to make him look strong, so they had him relinquish it instead of losing it.
Right.
Uh,
I don't know. I feel like they could have just given him the U.S. title and had him dominate that division for a little bit. But we'll move back on to some Discord questions here. B Master asks, he goes on, when do you think wrestling became cool? Because there's this idea now that Rock's been pitching that wrestling is cool again. One, do you agree with that? And two, when do you think wrestling became cool? Did it ever become cool? Ever? Like, where do you feel on that?
so wrestling definitely. So I think wrestling was always cool until we got to like 2009, 2010. Like when we got to that super PG era, and like the ruthless aggression era ended, and we got super PG. Honestly, I think wrestling was on the decline after Eddie and Benoit passed away,
Right.
and then like WWE had to like really lay into their policies and really straighten their act up, and then it became super PG to try to get back in the good graces of families. So, so I definitely think when I was in high school, I stopped watching WWE for a little while, like during high school, which was like 2012 to 2015 ish, around that area is when I kind of got out of wrestling. 2010 to 2015. I watched it here and there, but that's when I got out of it with super PG stuff, like all that R-Truth, Mr. Jimmy type stuff, Capital Punishment, like that era. The Rock came back, face Cena, that was cool. Um, um, the Summer of Punk was another cool era of wrestling, like another that caught my interest. But for a big part of it, I was out of it, and I was like, this stuff is lame now. This stuff is bad. It's bad product.
Right.
I got back into it in college, so like that when they had the brand split in like 2016 or whatever.
Right.
That's when it started becoming a little bit more cooler, and I do think wrestling became pretty cool again to give them their props when AEW became a thing.
Right.
I think AEW made professional wrestling cool again because WWE was really lacking and really slacking. So I'll definitely give AEW their props on that. I do think the emergence of AEW and in the letting go of Vince, like say the Vince thing didn't happen. I do think Vince was starting to feel a little bit threatened, and he was starting to cook up a little bit. Like he was starting to cook a little before he got kicked out. He was cooking a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think AEW pushed WWE to be cool again, and now I think Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, and all their stuff with ESPN, and they
Right.
got Pat McAfee. So like now they're back in the main multimedia space and the entertainment space. But there were some rough years like that
Right.
from 2010 to 2014.
So I posted in the Discord that I had an answer that people will probably be surprised by, and my answer is I don't think wrestling as a whole has ever been cool, because my definition of cool is it has to be something that as a mainstream product everyone accepts as what it is, and wrestling's not that. The mainstream, for the most part, throughout its entire history, the mainstream idea of wrestling, it's male soap opera. Oh, you watch that fake shit type stuff. I think with to a niche in the audience. But even like during the Attitude Era, their audience were the outcast. They weren't the cool kids. It was the outcast. You had the cool kids a little bit in it, but the majority of that audience were sort of the outcasts of society that came and watched wrestling because they sort of felt connected to it. And then eventually what made wrestling somewhat cool left after the Attitude Era. Once it did start becoming a little bit more kid friendly, PG, it completely died. And that was about the time I too stopped watching. I don't think it's necessarily cool again. I just think it's at a point where you have probably the biggest actor of all time, right? Or not of all time, but of the current generation in The Rock. He's back. And it's not necessarily cool, but it has there's a reason to cover it now. But I don't necessarily think wrestling has ever been like mainstream cool. People have always critiqued it as being like lame, like fake. I don't know. That's just how I feel it. I've always felt.
What?
I've always felt that wrestling it attracts like the outcast of society for the most part. That's like the niche group, and then you get the more casuals who tend to view it, but I don't necessarily know if I'd call it cool, like because it's not like a thing that everyone enjoys. And ESPN and all of them coming back and covering it, that's just that just has to do with
Money
Pat Mac
moves.
it money move basically. Yeah, so I don't necessarily think it's cool again if it was ever cool to begin with.
So I gotta give a little pushback on that. So I think it was definitely really cool when you look at it this way. So say for example, you go to like a random like 60, 70-year-old man, right? You
Mm-hmm.
show a picture of like Hulk Hogan. They're like, oh, that's Hulk Hogan. I remember watching him when I was, a kid or in my 20s, my 30s, or whatever. Hulkamania, and you ask him like you ask like Stephen A. Smith, like who's your favorite wrestler? He's like, I'm a big like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ric Flair, woo, like guy, and like all this other stuff. And they named that era of the 80s to like early 90s when they started naming off those people. And when they had the WrestleMania 1 and 2 and 3, when they had like Cyndi Lauper and Muhammad Ali and all these guys, when Russell was in that real mainstream, and like Hulk Hogan, who was like one of the first wrestlers like starring in movies. You had Andre the Giant, who was in the Princess in the whatever it was, Princess Diaries,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And wrestlers were like kind of bigger in the world, and they were on all the magazines, and where the secrets weren't out yet. People were still true to the business, not giving up the secrets, and like still playing true to their character in real life. Like I feel like it was definitely cool in the 80s to early 90s, and then it fell off a little bit when WWE just before the Attitude Era was still doing all that goofy comic book stuff, while WCW was starting to do that edgy stuff, and then WWE went back into the Stone Cold and Rock and all that Attitude Era stuff. Because like if you look back at it, wrestling, like especially like the wrestlers like The Rock and Stone Cold in that era, they're all in like rap music, and they got hip hop bars about them, and people's music and all this other stuff, making cameos and appearances at like NBA and football games and all this other stuff. Like they were like media moguls at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think wrestling had a very popular point in the 80s, early 90s. I feel like it became a little bit of a clown show in the mid 90s. It picked back up into the late 90s, like that with 97 until like 2002 ish. And then I think it had a little bit of drop off just because people started like giving up the secrets, and they
Right.
started all this other stuff. It became less cool. But
Yeah.
even you talk to guys our age, or even guys a little bit older than us, they're like, I mean, back in the day, watching like Batista turn on Evolution, and
Right.
and like Y2J, Rey Mysterio jumping off the cage on his debut, and all this other stuff. So I think wrestling definitely got a bad name in the late, 2008 to 2012, 13, 14 kind of time. But I think its peak popularity as far as like mainstream entertainment was in your 80s, early 90s.
Right. I mean, you're not necessarily wrong. I think it really just depends on how we define cool. I don't necessarily. I just feel like even at its peak in viewership, I mean, they only had like 5 million viewers. And so I don't necessarily know if that's cool to me.
I mean, you had the point where they're beating out Monday Night Football.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like the NFL, let's just be honest, the NFL was trash in the 90s.
I ain't watching that, so I can't tell you about that.
It was trash. I mean, you literally had Dallas, San Francisco, and Buffalo winning everything, which is funny because now the only teams that can't win anything are Dallas, Buffalo, or I mean, San Francisco's okay. I can't make Kara mad, but because she asked the next question. This one's a long one. She sent a video to go along with it. I'm not playing it because I'm not showing fucking Goldberg on this podcast.
Fuck Goldberg, bro.
But this is about Goldberg. She said, what do you think about Goldberg's Asuka shoot? Do you think he's being petty? And can you consider women breaking men's records if they are not in the same league? So what do you think about the rant that Goldberg went on? And
I think first of all, so I told these guys, but I didn't tell you, the universe. Sad news. Me and Asuka, we split. Saying she wasn't too happy because last week I spilled a little bit too much beans, and I told you her injury was kind of like a little bit of a work, and I was alluding to it, so she got a little upset. So me and Asuka kind of splits. So for all my women's wrestlers, I'm on the market right now. I'm looking for a new bait to support, to cheerlead for. But even Asuka left me, no hard feelings. So I will tell you, Goldberg, fuck Goldberg.
Right.
He's just a salty old man. Now, I played devil's advocate for a second and be like, I assume, we talked about a little bit of Discord, and even though, about like Caitlin Clark breaking, the women's college basketball record, or she had more points than men and women. But if she was playing with the men, she most likely would not have as many points, and so on. What I'm saying. And then that's what I would say. We can't necessarily compare wrestling to sports,
right?
Because at the end of the day, Goldberg didn't earn those wins. They're like they're predetermined, scripted wins. He was booked to win. It's not like he went out there and won. How many matches? What was his win streak?
It was like 179.
Yeah, whatever it was. He didn't win those. You know what I'm saying? Could he have one? Could he have won a lot of those if they were shoot fights? Sure, whatever. But 179, he was booked to win them, and records are meant to be broken, and you got to sit on your throne for a little bit, and here comes Asuka, who was booked like a monster in NXT, who was booked very well. Even on the main roster when she first came up, she was booked really well. Eventually she lost or whatever. And not to jump too fast forward, but he started complaining about people doing the spears. And I'm like, first of all, Goldberg, you was over in WCW doing the spear or whatever. And then when you came over into 2003, when he leave, 2003 or whatever?
Around there, yeah.
He left around there. I don't know when Edge started doing the spear, but you got Rhino, who I think did a better spear than you. Edge's spear is soft and overrated, but he made it popular. Right. While you were gone, you have people like Batista who's big enough to sell a spear. Bobby Lashley big enough to sell a spear. Roman Reigns, who gives a pretty good spear. I mean, Charlotte was like the only girl. Charlotte and Caitlyn were the only women doing it on the women's side. But even then, those two didn't really wrestle together. So I feel like he over-exaggerated with the spear. And it's first of all, the spear is not even a good move.
First off, I mean, it's good if it's good, but Goldberg didn't even do it good. Roman spear is good. I think Charlotte and Lashley may have the best two spears that I've seen. Lashley's is pretty good. But I mean, it's a move. Like no one fucking. I don't understand why
It wasn't even his finisher. It was his signature.
Right.
He did it and then turned it into the jackhammer.
He did it right. And so my whole deal is this: is I don't necessarily remember this time in NXT very well, but I don't ever remember them sort of like pushing Asuka and like booking her or like pushing it as she's beating Goldberg's record.
Yeah, it just naturally happens.
Right. It was just one of those things that, you know, they're booking Asuka, you can't have her lose with the character she was being portrayed to have. And at the same time, bro, like no one cares about your salty. Like he literally all this, and this comes to a bigger question because he's not the only one talking shit about this company. Every year around WrestleMania season, someone's got something to say. Ronda's running her mouth. And I just like y'all need to shut the hell up. Like all this comes back down to Triple H does not like Goldberg, will not give him a retirement match, and Goldberg thinks it's okay to run his mouth about it. Like,
yeah, it's like Vince promised you a retirement match, not Triple H. Triple H is in charge. He's an owe you retirement match. He's not Vince McMahon.
Right. Now you mentioned like the Caitlin Clark aspect, and this is why I don't like comparing it to sports, because I personally believe Caitlin Clark can play with the boys because of her playing style. She's a shooter. All she does is shoot. I don't know. Will she beat men? Probably not. But, you know, on like a one-on-one tournament against Steph Curry, I think she has a chance to beat him.
Well, that's different than a game. Like if you're gonna put them in a 3-point contest, first of all, I mean, I want to get into this. I mean, I'll get into it. I don't care about getting canceled. I don't care about getting canceled. When it comes to sports, especially basketball, like it's a whole other conversation. I don't want to get into it. Whole other conversation. But like when they try, you know, talk about how to improve the WNBA and like their viewership, and like I forgot who it was. I think it was Chris Webber or whoever it was made the suggestion. Well, if you guys lower the rims by like a half foot or whatever. And like homegirl got so upset. It was like, why we lower just so we can dunk on each other? Is that all you guys want to see? And I'm like, first of all, y'all use a smaller ball. Your 3-point line is shorter. The paint is shorter. The free throw line to the hoop is shorter. I'm like, what are we talking about right now? Like everything else is smaller and shorter. Like, why not lower the hoop a little bit? But anyways, back to the main point that you're talking about with Caitlin Clark playing with the men. If we're talking like a 3-point contest where she's going to face Steph Curry and they both shoot from the same line, but Caitlin uses a different ball or whatever. Yeah, sure. Caitlin Clark, she's a baller, she's a hooper. But like the main difference between men's and women's basketball and sports in general is just pure athleticism.
Right.
Like if Caitlin Clark tries to bring the ball up the court, like 95% of the NBA is locking her up full court. She's not making it past half court.
I'm telling you something. I'm watching this women's March Madness right now. And I know a lot of people are sort of like pushing, the women's are better than the men. No, it's not. I watched some of these women's games and just completely. I mean, if Caitlin Clark's not playing, I don't give a fuck. To be honest with you,
their games are more entertaining, is because like
I don't know, dude. This game against Alabama and Grand Canyon was the most. They looked like street ball and fucking. They were knocking each other down. It was entertaining as shit. That was fun.
I will say women's college basketball is more entertaining than women's WNBA.
Yeah, WNBA. So
well, the main reason, in my opinion, the WNBA is underperforming and like not entertaining is because they keep the older players around too long.
Yeah,
it's like pushing the younger talent. If you look at the men's college, they stay for one and dones and they're gone. Or on the women's side, they make them stay for like 3 years.
Yeah,
you know. It's like, push the younger women into the game, like your Angela Reese's, your Caitlin Clark's, what's her name from Stanford? What's her name from Stanford?
Brink, I think is it
Brink? Cameron Brink.
Yeah,
fine, she's fine. But anyways, push those women to WNBA. Get rid of the older women, make the game younger and faster, and faster pace.
Right.
And like get that ball rolling, like get the names in there, make the superstars. You keep.
They need more teams. They need more teams too.
No, they don't. No, they need more teams.
You don't think so?
No, they can't afford the teams they have now. They can't afford to have what they have now. You can't put more teams out there.
I mean, I don't know. I just want a team in Charlotte
Also,
So
they play like 30 games or whatever it is. They play 30 games.
all right, I feel you on that one.
I
We'll move on.
don't want to get our show canceled, but like I'll be on your sports show a week and I'll just rant about that WNBA.
We'll move forward. We'll move forward. B Master Ash. Is it better to put all your money into one megastar or spread it out between a bunch of other superstars?
I think it depends on
Who's the megastar we're buying? Like,
so my general answer, like that I will do 99% of the time, is build up multiple stars.
right,
If you're in that situation where like you need to pass the torch, you got no one to give it to, you build up your megastar John Cena. John Cena saved the WWE. You know, saying he carried them in from the Attitude Era through the PG era, whatever, the Universe era, whatever the fuck you want to call it. He carried them through all of that. Hulk Hogan saved it. They built a megastar. They had two megastars in Stone Cold and The Rock, and then then Cena, and now you got Roman, who's a megastar. But even with their megastars, they have numerous stars right below them.
right. I think it depends on who like, first off, like, there's two different philosophies. Like, WWE's philosophy is developmental. I think they're 100% on that book. They're going to sign a bunch of younger, unknown talent who maybe, people from college athletic backgrounds, and someone like an AEW, they're going to sign Ospreay and Okada and Mercedes Moné, and they're going to put all their money in them. And so I think it depends on, WWE isn't paying, what's his name, Obafemi, much of anything. But that motherfucker is probably the next superstar in the making right now. And so I think it really just depends on what your philosophy is. I typically would say spread your money around, go after some of the unknown talent and build them. I think that works better long term, because you're going to get something like what Tony Khan has right now, where he's paying like $20 million between 4 wrestlers and not really going to get much return on it. And so, so that's typically where I go. I would spread it out, get some more talent that I could build, younger talent. I always, my philosophy is always, try to stay as young as possible. You want your guys like Roman Reigns there, but your mid card should be, young, athletic people who can tell stories. I don't need fucking Baron Corbin. I love Baron Corbin, but like, honestly, if he disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't really miss him. This has got me thinking though. So I'm going to add another question in here that I just thought of. MJF hasn't showed back up yet. Is he WWE bound? Do you think?
What was his injury again? The shoulder injury?
I don't remember. I think it was a shoulder. The rumors are he's showing up at something, I think it's called like AEW Dynasty. But I don't even know when that is.
Like, my thing is with MJF. It's one thing to take him off of your online roster or whatever, the website.
Right.
But to take all his merch off the site when he's like your biggest star.
Right.
And like, I don't know how long they're going to keep it off for, but like you're losing money by the minute. You're losing potential money by the minute. Yeah, he's your biggest star. If I were to cop any AEW merch, it would be MJF merch. If I were to,
right.
But like, I'm not spending like $40 on a shirt, but like you did. But you know what I'm saying? If I were to go, it would be MJF. So like, you're losing potential money by taking your biggest star off your merch site. Right. So I don't know at this point.
I don't know.
Work, but it's a stupid work.
I mean, if it's a work, you're not really working anybody, because until you took the shit off of the website, no one even considered him showing up. And so I don't really think you're working much of anybody. But part of me just wonders, like, now to me, like, where does he even fit in this year's WrestleMania? Because I feel like we got pretty much a full card. I don't really necessarily know what he'll do to fit in. Does he want to come and play mid card for the next 6-7 months?
Does he join Cody Rhodes' Avengers team? Or, hear me out, the Bloodline Rules match. Everybody is, down for the count. You know what I'm saying? And then we get a similar thing to last year, where Cody has Roman in his finisher. He has him on the ropes. Another hooded figure attacks Cody from behind. This time it's Solo Sikoa. It's MJF.
Oh man!
And then they get the Cody MJF blood feud, and then it kicks Cody into Homelander mode. I don't know.
I just at this point the roster is so stacked in WWE that I don't think it benefits MJF to come over. I mean, like 2 years ago maybe, but yeah, I don't necessarily know at this point.
I mean, with the super, assuming you get a superstar shakeup or something
right
after Mania, how do you separate the top stars to where you put MJF as something meaningful? Because unless Roman loses the title at Mania, Bloodline's still gonna have the title, controlling the title, and be out. So I don't know. Do we get this far? And just say forget it. We're not gonna go for the Hogan record. Because I can see it happening at this point. I was all on board giving Roman the record, but I don't really think Roman cares that much about getting the record.
Mm-hmm.
And also Hulk Hogan's back and they're good gracious to the point where they're not really trying it's not necessary to get rid of him off the record books anymore.
Right.
I'm past the Terry stuff. I don't really care anymore.
Right.
He an old man. He gonna leave the earth one day. I don't really care.
Right.
So
I don't know. We'll see. I think it would be interesting. I think there'd be a little bit of a pop if he showed up. But
okay, you gotta remember, WrestleMania is the, usually most likely the biggest wrestling fans.
Right.
Those things are expensive. You're not buying those tickets unless you're a wrestling fan.
Right.
In most cases, so they know MJF.
Yeah. Our last question we have is name a male's single star and a tag team that WWE dropped the ball with.
As far as a single star, there's two people who came to mind. They dropped the ball with Prime MVP.
Yeah.
When he was the U.S. champion, feeling Matt Hardy, saying that man had a nice entrance. He could talk. His ring work was good. They dropped the ball at Prime MVP.
Yeah.
And they dropped the ball with Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy was that guy.
I want to add my answer that I thought of was Chris Masters. And I know a lot of people didn't like him, but he had the perfect physique for Vince McMahon at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that they would push him a little bit further, and they just left him to that stupid Master Lock challenge, and that was about it.
Well, I had Chris Masters in my tag team. Him and Carlito. I have so many memories. On Monday Night Raw, I have so many memories of Carlito and Chris Masters being a tag team, and being the bad guys that the main eventers were going after or going against, and being the stooges that Vince would put them against.
Right.
But Masters and Carlito never won a tag team title.
That's crazy.
And they were an irritating tag team.
Yeah. When I was thinking of tag teams, I don't know if I was the only one that felt this way, but the Basham brothers were one of my favorites growing up.
You was a Basham guy?
I was a Basham guy. I love the Basham brothers.
You probably loved the cabinet too, JBL's cabinet. That was probably
nah.
I do want to go to tag teams back in the day.
Yeah, I do want to add. I think they dropped the ball on early Big E. It took Big E way too long to win a world title. And I felt like him and Ziggler should have had a feud for the belt. Is that what happened? I don't actually remember what happened after Ziggler won the belt, but
I can't remember. I remember Ziggler, Big E, and AJ Lee.
Yeah,
I don't remember what happened after that.
I just felt that Ziggler cashes in and Big E, probably should have won it from him, but Big E. I mean, I'm glad they finally gave him something, but I think it was a little bit too late.
They're dropping the ball with Xavier Woods. I feel like he needs an individual tag. I mean, an individual title. So somebody who actually had a pretty legendary career, who's a Hall of Famer, but they still dropped the ball with, was Kane.
Kane? Yeah.
That man has one WWE title reign, which was a day long, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. But also, I feel like at the same time, he had sort of that like Bray Wyatt gimmick where he didn't really need a title. But yeah, I mean, maybe a legitimate reign would have made sense.
Especially Show, they dropped the ball with Big Show.
Big Show, yeah.
That was his own fault. He was overweight for a lot of years.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Bronson Reed looks like he's losing some weight.
Yeah, I put that in the Discord last night. He looked a little bit more lean. Yo,
yeah.
Imagine we get like he gets like a Gunther
if he does like a Gunther transition, boy.
Or like he gets built like almost like a Big E, like he gets big like that way.
Right. All right, so we're gonna end this just like we always do with Thirsty Tuesday. This week we're going TNA. We're gonna have a TNA themed opener and ending. I announced this last week on the show, but we got Velvet Sky, Santana Garrett, Gail Kim, and Taryn Terrell. You sort of gave your answer last week. We know what number one's going to be.
Number one, Velvet Sky.
But let's go ahead and fill us in. Yeah.
Velvet Sky was the baddie of all baddies. Even over some of my WWE baddies back in the day. Like, I had Velvet Sky up there, you know what I'm saying? Kinetic and native Velvet Sky, you know what I'm saying? Number two, Gail Kim, you know what I'm saying? I'm very fond of, you know, Asian women. Okay. But, like, Gail Kim is a baddie. Number three, what was the blonde girl name again?
Taryn Terrell.
Yeah, I'll take Taryn Terrell, number three. And then number four is the last girl.
Okay. I feel that. So I'm gonna need you to take your list
and reverse it,
and we're just gonna flip it backwards.
Ew.
And we're gonna have my list. We're gonna go Santana Garrett at 1, Taryn Terrell at 2, Gail Kim at 3, and Velvet Sky at 4.
Wow, you're putting. I'm pretty sure she's a TNA Hall of Famer. You're putting the TNA Hall of Famer. Actually, let me double check. I think she's TNA.
Which one? Which one?
Velvet Sky.
Velvet Sky. I don't know. I know Gail Kim is, but
Velvet Sky. I'm about to Google it. TNA. No, I don't think she is. Oh well. But anyways, Velvet Sky has her whole gimmick. All right, her whole tag team / stable was the beautiful people.
Right.
Most beautiful woman. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is what it is. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I guess so.
But with that, I'm WeTooDeep. That's Wavy D. This is the Slap and Meat Wrestling Podcast. Until next time, next Tuesday, we got James and Cody here. We're going to be predicting WWE WrestleMania. It should be fun. It should be a fun show.
You're going to have a bone to pick with Bubba Ray Dudley.
Bubba Ray? Oh, what'd he say?
Well, no, the Velvet Sky, I think, is his ex-wife.
He was, yeah. Yeah, she was. It is. It's all right. Bubba Ray's fine.
Yeah, but Bubba Ray, he aiming high. He's shooting high.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he like ugly, but he just like, you know, he got Velvet Sky though. It's like me ending up with like Alexa Bliss, like.
Yeah. Well, until next time, we will see you on the next episode. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of your week.
Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If I like get some more.